Good afternoon, everybody. Tonight I'm going to be doing a Maddox review. The autopsy report was in a while back. I definitely know some things are not adding up here. I'm not saying that the findings were wrong at all, 100%. I'm not saying that at all. But there is more to it than what they're saying, I think. The initial report stated that that as of right now, no charges will be filed. And there's a few discrepancies that I have an issue with. I'm gonna do like a review of some of the things that I've heard, the visions that I saw. I mean, this is only some of it. I have to go back in all of my my findings and go back and just really write down more of this, because a lot of my stuff is in my phone. But my first initial auto writing is on paper. My very dear friend Lori is like the person that helps me with a lot of verifying everything that comes through. She's one hell of an amazing woman. So again, the report stated, first of all, when I say discrepancies, I mean by, they said he likely drowned as an accidental drowning, likely as it can mean it didn't happen that way or it did happen, so they're really not sure. And then they said they found no toxins in his blood, which would mean like nobody drugged him, and he had no fractured bones. There was no trauma to the body. Now, I will tell you why that is a load of crap. For many reasons. And then they said he was mauled by an animal. And then he was found a mile away from his destination where he originally was. Also, he was so camouflaged in the little creek there that you could be standing right next to him and not know he was there. So, I'm going to begin with telling you why I believe there's more to the story than what they're telling, and that they're either, waiting on more stuff to either come back or there's a lot of stuff not adding up completely. So let's start off with, when I originally did my auto ratings with him, I knew off the bat he was killed, as in not accidentally killed, as in he was killed, as in someone took his life. And the things that I got, these are only some of the things. I have to leave out some of the other stuff because it does state 4 places where the person I believe that killed Maddox lived, 4 places. And this person has moved at least 20-something times in the last 15 years. It's an awful lot of times to move. But what I'm reading to you is what I gave to the police. So I'm going to start off with that again. It is in my other video, but I want to reread some of the stuff here. So when I originally got asked to help with Maddox's case, a wonderful lady named Kathy sent me the case from South Carolina. So automatically I went to work, and I had come up with the words church, pond, get rid of it, behind the church, brown, dirt, cold, bite, tree, skinny. My son was walking by, it distracted me. Maddox's vision, I had stated that in his vision he looked up, and he looked to have known the man who he went with. He did not seem in any distress. He did not seem confused in any way. He looked as if he knew this man. This man had jeans. The black belt stood out. The black belt stood out for some reason. I don't know what it is about the black belt. I'm not sure if the black belt was used on Maddox. So I'm not sure. I think there's something with the black belt itself for many reasons. And he went off with him, and he took the hand of a left-handed man. He took his right hand, Maddox did, and he gave it to a left-handed man. And then later on in the vision, as I stated before, he was on the right side of this man. And he peered over, and I saw a very distinctive church. And the church that I actually saw looked like to be the one in the mile radius of where he was found. And I actually took a picture of that church and sent it to the detective through text message. He definitely knew who the man was. If he didn't know who he was, he knew he went with him because he was an authoritative figure. He felt safe with him. I do believe he was wearing a cross that day. Maddox is very comfortable within the church, and I think the man wearing the cross knew how to persuade Maddox to go with him. And I also believe he was sexually assaulted. The word lost, predator, vroom vroom, a red truck. Now there's two stipulations for that. The man that took Maddox is a firefighter, or he has a red vehicle. But I am gleaning with the firefighter because I felt it was a firefighter. Drain, as in a drain itself, like steeple, water, hole, ranger, father, steel, David, king, church, Chapman, Brian, fireman, White House, marks on the body. Now obviously we know that was Maddox. I assumed that it meant a tattoo of the assailant. So the number 7 was referenced a lot in Maddox's case. I thought it to be Route 7, but it come to find out Maddox was found on September 27th. So I think, but also Route 7 is significant because someone also stays on Route 7. I believe this has a lot to do with the church. The church came up several times in many ways. Either the man that took Maddox has a relative in the church, or the church, I'm trying to leave this part out. The 911 call is all I'm going to say. Pay attention to it. As soon as I did Maddox's reading, church is what came up. And I mean, it came up, that was the very first thing that came up, was the name of, like, church, behind the church. And the 911 call is what I was deferred back to, and I mean at least 20 times, because I wasn't hearing the whole thing. I was hearing a part of it. But if you listen to the whole thing, the 911 operator is going to say something, and I need everybody to pay attention to that. Like I said, I do believe he was molested. He did get hit. No, he might have not fractured any bones, but he did get hit. And at that, every time I would work with Maddox, I would get pain in the left side of my face, in the left side of my rib cage. It was almost like if I was being, like, held down, like someone was squeezing me. Metal, numbers. I do have 4 distinctive numbers, and I do believe that's the address of somebody. I believe this man has moved a lot to avoid jail. I do believe he's a serial predator. He is a dark man. He is definitely a left-handed man. But that is just some of the things that I got from Maddox. Now I'm going to tell you why I have a problem with his autopsy report and what seems strange to me. First, they said they weren't going to charge anybody at this moment in time. It is likely that Maddox died of accidental drowning. But this is the problem. Maddox was found a mile away. A mile away. The creek that he was found in was not that deep, and it did not have a force of the water. The water did not have force in that general sense to bury him so deep with debris. So, first they said there was no trauma to the body, and clearly there was. If he was mauled by an animal, that is massive trauma to the body. And the problem with the mauling is, they say he was mauled by an animal. One, where there's signs up that stated, you know, there's animals around here that could maul a child, you need to be aware of that. No, there's not. That's my first problem. Second of all, the report said Maddox was mauled here, or the left side of his face, and on his wrists, his arms. Now, my problem is dogs don't pick out very specific parts of the body. If they're gonna maul you, they're gonna maul you wherever they can. They're not gonna pick out both of your arms, and they're not gonna pick out your face. If they're gonna maul you, sure, they're gonna maul you in an area where most dogs will maul you around the neck, because they know that's the pinpoint to where to stop you from breathing. If you ever seen a pit bull attack somebody, they'll attack you everywhere, the throat, anywhere they can get you. That's the first problem I have. They do not maul you in very specific parts of the body. 2, I had stated in my video that they would find him badly decomposed and that they were going to have a hard time finding out what had happened to him. So the second part was he likely drowned. That is most likely the cause. So they don't even really know if Maddox really drowned. Obviously, he had water in his lungs, so they assumed that he drowned. In my vision, I saw Maddox being drowned. He was being held underwater by a man. The fact that when a child is lost like this or taken or anything like that, a sexual assault test is done. Just about on every person, every child. That was not in the report. And the fact that he was a mile away and he was camouflaged so deeply within, you couldn't tell he was standing there. A dog does not do that. An animal cannot do that. And if an animal does that, it's like a beaver or something like that. And the way they stated, he was mauled and the body was badly decomposed. So they really couldn't find what caused his death except for the water in his lungs, because he was deeply decomposed, excuse me. And they also kept his necklace and his shirt. They did not give it back to the parents, which was another strange thing. So the sexual assault findings was not in the report. They kept his shirt. They kept his necklace. He was badly decomposed. They said he was mauled by an animal. They said he most likely drowned. But he was also camouflaged a mile away in a a creek that has no force of power to be able to do that to a body. And Maddox was half submerged in the water. So, I mean, I think what the police are doing here is trying to catch the person that did it, because they very well can't charge somebody with this, because whoever did this to him knew what they were doing to cover things up. They knew they could get away with it. And I think maybe they're going to either not charge somebody because they can't, or they are going to charge somebody and they're just being really careful about it to see if they slip up and do this to somebody else. I'm really not happy with their findings. Like I said, I think this could be a stalling tactic for them, or this poor sweet little boy went through so much hell and they knew damn well to hide it, and they knew how to hide it. And like I said, a dog or an animal, first of all, there's no signs up in Rankin Lake Park that will state, how would you say it, a type of animal may be on the loose, be watchful of this type of, there's always signs in places like that, but there's no signs up there in Rankin Lake Park. I had several people check. So if it was a dog was in my vision, but like I said, a dog is not going to maul certain parts of each arm and a certain part of your face. They're going to maul you in one place that they can get you at. And they're not going to drag your body a mile away and then camouflage you in a creek. It's just really strange. Maddox lost a lot of blood. I saw him in the river. And I had breaking out in hives through my head and my neck. And I knew he was going to be badly decomposed because that's what I saw. But to come up with these kind of bullcrap sayings in his autopsy report, I'm really sickened by it, because this person either got away with it or the cops know and they're trying to catch this person on somebody else to see if he'll do it again. But I just wanted to put that out there because I have yet to have gotten to that review. And then I also wanted to work more with Kanika, because Kanika Jenkins has referenced for several times in my the one reading that I tried to do with her spirit session. She had stated florist 3 to 4 times, and I didn't understand why she would put that, or and translate that to me. So I definitely don't know about that, but I definitely hope that the tactic that the police are using in Maddox Ritch's case is just a tactic, or did this person really get away with it? When I had called the detectives on the third night of my, spirit investigation here, I said he needed to look on Route 7, look on Route 7. But not realizing, like I said, you have to perceive this gift in many different ways. You can't assume that it means one way. Number 7 was actually either meaning Maddox was going to be found on September 27th, like he was, or, like I said, there's somebody that is on Route 7 that I know is there. I really just hope that this baby isn't going to be brushed off, and the 911 call verifies why the church thing popped up for me numerous times. It's not making sense to me whatsoever, and it's just really disgusting that the 911 caller, the 911 dispatch, had questioned somebody on the call and why they were calling from the church. So that stuck with me. And one day I was trying to shut my phone off, and I had asked Maddox to show me a sign of the person that had took his life. And my phone went haywire. 11 times I tried to shut my phone out. And an Apple iPhone, when you close out your app, you push the little button on the bottom and you swipe up. I could not do that, and I did it 11 times, and I kept going, being sent back to the 911 call, to the 911 call, to the 911 call. And I didn't understand it because I had heard that thing numerous times. But the key thing, what he was trying to show me was the church part was never in that little clip. It was only if you had to really go and look for it. So I listened to it, and it was like a punch to my stomach when I heard in the beginning, "Sir, why are you calling from a church?" And he had stated, "I'm not at a church, I'm at Rankin Lake Park." That really blew my mind, because if you were at Rankin Lake Park, you'd be able the dispatcher would be able to pick that up. So view the 911 call for Maddox Ritch's case, and the fact that I said church, and that's what I had sent the detectives. I think people will put one and one makes two, and there's your answer. And then watch other videos connected to this person, and you're going to see that he is a left-handed man with a cross on his neck in the interviews, and you will understand. So everybody, I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching, and I will be working on more videos, more private readings this coming January. I'm going to fill my calendar for January with private readings, and then February I'll go back to my murder cases, the missing, the lost, okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night.